What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of Forum presented by 10 Toes Down. So this series is really about sitting down with people from all walks of life, talking about what goes into what they do, the sacrifices, the setbacks, and everything people don't really see. So for the first episode, I'm sitting down with my guy, Brian Jackson. He's a basketball coach who spent years coaching young players and developing teams and experiencing everything that comes with trying to build a winning program. So today he's going to talk about basketball, coaching, developing young athletes, and what happens behind the scenes. So let's get into it. So, B, I want to ask you, how did coaching come about?
Coaching came about, I would say, midway through my last year of college. I was the captain of my team, and I had a very young team as an upperclassman that kind of leaned on me for that leadership. And I knew midway through that year, I wasn't trying to pursue like a professional career, and that's when I kind of knew that coaching would be, it would fit me, and I can make that transition kind of easily.
So during that transition, did you have a moment where you were like, man, I'm really good at this? Like this is for me?
Yeah, I think it was just the way I was able to communicate. Most importantly, I think coaching is a lot of how you communicate with your players, how you able to get through to different players, different personalities, how you able to juggle that. And with me being a captain of a very young team full of freshmen and sophomores at the time, it was a very smooth transition. That allowed me to, communicate with them differently. And I knew I would be able to, make a smooth transition into that.
All right. Now, it was a smooth transition and you were a captain, but I'm sure there's certain things that you did not see coming once you became a coach. So what are some things that were happening behind the scenes or that kind of shocked you or surprised you going from player to coach?
I think most importantly, the biggest thing is that understanding that each player's journey is different. For me, I had to learn how to take myself out of it. Like when I say me, I mean me, the player, and I have to transition into full-time coaching mode and just understanding how to communicate that aspect of it, just from a coaching standpoint. Because when you take yourself, the player, out of it, right, it's a lot less of me, what I would do versus what you're doing versus what you should do and how I can communicate what you should do and why you should do it this way, right? Because I'm looking at it from a completely different vantage point versus the way that you're looking at it from being on the floor, right? So I think when I started to break down film and really master that aspect of it, I was able to, I was able to show the players how I could, help them be better in certain aspects of their game,
So another question I asked, just based off of what you just said, because when you started coaching on the college level.
All right.
So mentally, let me go back for a second. You had a relationship with some of the players who you were coaching.
Right.
So what is that like? Do they view you as a friend? Do they view you as a coach?
Funny enough, it was a smooth transition. One for myself because it's just as much as they were comfortable with me, I was comfortable with them. So that's why I was able to kind of refine my skills, refine my coaching philosophies, refine how I do everything, what my principles are, and what I stood for as a coach. I was able to do that because I had a relationship with those guys. And I had a chance to see them grow. I had a chance also, too, to be away from them for a year and come back to them in a completely different space than when I left them. So they made it easier for me to come in and step in and be their coach. But I think the number one quality in all of that is, like I always say, is that I have to be able to respect you as a person, man to man, before I could ever coach you with anything I do about with a basketball or anything pertaining to a basketball. So there was a lot of that line of respect was there, and that made, the coaching aspect that much smoother for me.
Okay. So you had a good relationship with the players on the college level, but during the course of your coaching career, you've coached on multiple levels. You've coached also younger individuals as well.
Right.
So now when you were in college, you were able to kind of already get an idea of what these players were like physically, what they were like mentally. But dealing with kids is a completely different ball game. Right. You have social media, you have peer pressure. What is that mental and physical difference amongst the younger generation like compared to the college group?
The kids are a blank canvas, right? Like you get a chance to mold them so early in their journey in the game, right? And that's what's most crucial about it, because as long as you are able to get hands on them very early, you're able to form their outlook on the game for years to come, right? So I took pride in coaching fourth grade, as young as fourth grade, all the way up to like fifth, sixth, seventh, so on and so forth, But the younger I was able to be with the kids was the better for me, in my opinion, because they're, like I said, they're so fragile, right? And you get a chance to, while they're fragile, you get a chance to form that outlook on the game, right? And just what it takes. And the higher the levels go, the more serious it gets. And if that's what they really want to do, you kind of have to, push them along the way as such. Because, like I said, this game gets really serious. The higher the levels you go, as does with anything in the world or anything in life. So I took pride in really having to coach them up at a younger age to really, set them up for their future, ideally. And sometimes when you, in comparison to when you already are dealing with college kids, right, it goes back to that very beginning of when they started playing, right? Some kids don't necessarily have the right tools early on, so their outlook on how the game is, whether it's bad habits or whatever the case may be, is formed at such a young age. And when you're at a young age, you have to kind of flush that out and put as many good habits within them as much as possible, versus when they are already older. So I think, like I said, just going back to when they were younger and really being able to form them and mold them the right way is the most important part.
Do you ever come across a student or a player who you're just thinking like, man, if this kid can just get out of his head, he'd be amazing, or he'd be a star?
100%. I think we all know that basketball is 90% mental, and the other 10% is just what you can do skill-wise. But I think some of the best players have the mental fortitude that, is able to take them through anything. Next play mentality. I think accountability is a big thing that helps out with the mental aspect of it. As long as you stay out of your own head, you're able to be coached constantly, right? And that's what coaches are there to do, to get you over that hump. But some people are their biggest enemies, and that's when you see players that when we see players miss their potential or miss their mark, that has everything to do with, the mentality, who they're around, their circles, and the things that they want most out of the game, or how much they actually love the game. And all of that factors into their mental fortitude. So the mentality aspect is the most important part.
Okay. Now we have certain players who may have insecurities about their game, and they just feel like they're not performing well enough. And then you have a lot of players who are very good athletes, but just off the court they're getting in trouble. They have behavior issues. It's a kind of different level of mental discipline. Do you find there to be a difference in how you go about handling students or players who may not be able to get their head in the game, versus you go about handling students who have more so behavioral issues or discipline issues off the court?
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand what the motive is, right? If you love the game of basketball, you'll do anything in your power to be better at it, and you'll take what comes with it on and off the court, right? So if you know you want to be eligible to play basketball from a school standpoint, right? You're going to all your classes, you're doing all your work, because everything goes hand in hand. That's a non-negotiable. Nowadays, we're dealing with a different caliber of kid, where they're exposed to so much information, where there's so many things that may take them away from what actually matters. And that's obviously getting better, perfecting your craft, because there's so much that comes with being a basketball player today. And that's usually what, gets the attention of these kids nowadays. But as long as they're able to stay focused and close-knit and obviously focused on the overall goal, and they'll be able to, withstand all of that. But it's extremely hard to kind of keep them away from that when that's what they're exposed to 24/7. So it's all about knowing the right kid and honestly having tough conversation with the kid and knowing what exactly he wants out of the situation in the game of basketball.
And just having this conversation along and just listening to you talk, I'm realizing the obstacles that coaches go through and players go through, and a few more that are rolling through my mind is not just the mental of the players, but also parents. What is it like dealing with parents? Because I'm sure at the end of games you have parents walking up to you because their child didn't play, right, or they think their child is better than they really are. What is your experience with parents? What's something that you wish that they would know that they probably just don't understand from outside looking in?
That it's your kid's dream, it's not yours, right? I think parents they have their hearts in the right places, because every parent just about wants the right thing and wants to do the right thing for their kid. But it just comes across as the wrong way. one of my favorite lines is just think coaching is probably the only job in the world where anybody and everybody feels like they can do what you do, right? Nobody goes to a janitor that tells a janitor how to sweep. Nobody tells a janitor how to mop, but they'll tell a coach, yo, this kid should play, my kid should play. And it's all rooted in love, right? But a lot of it is parents just living through the kid, and you have to kind of have these tough conversations. Again, what does the kid really want, right? If this is what the kid wants, then you got to let the kid be a kid and let him go through, it on his own and how he needs to go. That's the only way it'll work out for him.
Okay, understood. Yeah. Now I know that you've been on the winning teams as a player and as a coach. What is it like in that locker room on championship day?
Oh man, it's nothing like it. I mean, obviously as a player, both as a player and a coach, you go through, everybody's in it together, right? From the very beginning, season start. If you're in high school, it starts November. If you're in college, it starts October. Really in college, there's no days off. You all year round with it. But when you get a chance to reflect on all the work that you put in with your teammates, with fellow assistant coaches, the culture that's set, winning culture, obviously, you get a chance to, sit back and, enjoy your all your hard work, right? And everybody in this world wants to see their hard work pay off. And I think when you're chasing something and you have goals, and anybody that knows, not even just with basketball obviously, but when you set goals in life period and you're able to achieve them, it's a wonderful feeling, right? Because you know what you put into it day in and day out, blood, sweat, tears, arguments, disagreements, whatever. But everybody comes together for that one goal, and nothing else really matters, right? So the greatest teams have it. Leadership is at the top of it, from top to bottom, whether it's coaches, players, so on and so forth. But it's nothing like it. You know what I mean? It's a true family for life, brotherhood for life. And like I said, man, you get a chance to really enjoy all of the good, bad, and the ugly, and nothing else really matters once you host a trophy or you cut the nets down.
But these trophies don't come out of nowhere. So what do you realize, or is this something that you notice immediately, like, hey, man, I got a winning team on my hands? Or is it later on down the line that you say, you know what, I think we can go somewhere? Like, what is it? Is it chemistry? Is it discipline? At what point do you realize that, hey, we could take this all the way?
Discipline first and foremost, because chemistry is formed throughout the year. When you're faced with different obstacles, that's how you get a chance to see what type of team you really have. But when you, as a coach, when you're recruiting, you envision certain pieces to the puzzle, and if it clicks and it all comes together the right way, then obviously you have a masterpiece on your hand, right? But that's the beginning aspect of it. It's all about how the team gels together, and I think some of the best teams that we get a chance to see on a day-to-day basis are player-led. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Your best player is probably your best teammate. You know what I'm saying? Your best player is probably your hardest worker, and it trickles down to everybody else on the team, right? And it just makes the coaching's job that much easier. And the coaches have so many different things to focus on, but if your best player is holding his teammates accountable, that's all of the makings right there of a championship team. So that's how coaches typically go after it like that and build their teams out like that.
Okay. Yeah. Now we know winning happens, but losing also happens. Mm-hmm. And we don't want it to happen, but it does happen. What is it like during the middle of the season when you still have a long way to go, but you just know, all right, yeah, this isn't the one. How hard is it to wait another 365 days? Like, do you still kind of just follow through until the end of the season, hoping that we can kind of turn things around even when you know you can't? Or do you just kind of just rebuild and trying to move the pieces for the coming year?
It's tricky because also, too, it depends on how you lose, right? I think losing teaches us more than anything, more than a win could ever could. So depending on how that goes, right? What is the mental fortitude of your team, right? After a loss and after a tough loss, right? And how are you willing to respond? How are you willing to attack that offseason? Sometimes, man, it's damaging. We see some professional sports teams franchises that have never recovered from a bad loss years after, right? So sometimes it may involve, a full clean out, right? To get in some new blood in, right? And really keep some pieces in and bringing some other pieces to kind of keep that hunger alive or get you over the hump, so to speak. But it's tough, man. It's tough. It's really case by case. It depends on your team, and if you have a good one, then you're willing to go back to war and willing to figure it out for the next year. But if you have to move a couple pieces, that's what you do in order to get that win.
Okay. Now, the last part that I want to talk about, the second to last part that I want to talk about is social media. You know, like right now we're in the era of highlights. We're in the era of recognition. Everybody wants to show what they can do. They want to shine. They want to be the star player. How has that impacted coaching over the years? What is the impact that social media is having on the game of basketball?
It's tricky. It's everything. It's good and bad. Obviously, there's some benefit to the internet that we all love to use today, and there's also, it's a detriment to it. And I think the bad aspect of it is what you just kind of highlighted in the question, is just that it's a highlight, right? Like everything is only clipped up into a minute, and everybody is showing their best foot, right? So you don't get a chance to see a kid's mentality. You don't get a chance to see a kid's attitude, how he responds, what type of teammate he is, right? But you get a chance to see him put the ball in the basket. And to me, in the grand scheme of a team game, I think it helps, but it's also a small part, right? You want good people. You really can't tell if people are good people just by their minute, 30-second highlight, right? So when you're building a team and you have a culture in place, you want good basketball players, but you want even better people, right? So I think social media kind of hides that a little bit, and at the end of the day, nobody on social media is showing themselves do bad, right? So that just goes in all facets of sports, right? So you got to be wary about that, and you got to really get a chance to know the kid.
That's good. Okay, so before we get out of here, I kind of want to hit you with a rapid fire. Few questions, and you got to answer them within the next, I would say, about 5 seconds, if you go top of your head.
Gotcha.
Most difficult position to coach in basketball?
Point guard. No, shooting guard.
Why?
Just because they have the mentality that they come in, like it's a good shot. They don't know what a bad shot versus a good shot is. That aspect of it, they really have a ego like no other.
Practice or game day?
Game day.
Why?
I was a good practice player, but like if we had 3 practices, the first 2 practices was kind of like half speed, and then the practice before the game was where I really ramped it up. And nothing's like game day. It's just the feeling that you get.
One thing every player needs to stop doing?
Pouting.
Best college athlete you've ever coached?
Antoine Claxton.
We're a little biased here.
Antoine Claxton.
All right, so a 13-year-old wanting to become a great basketball player. There's a 13-year-old out there that wants to become a great basketball player. What do you want him to take from this segment that that you and I just had?
Be a hard worker, man. Be a hard worker, and it sounds cliche, but the higher the level goes, the harder this game gets, and you have to be able to deal with everything that comes with it. Politics, right? You got to be able to deal with coaching, and the most coachable guys are the ones who usually are the most successful. So being able to listen, all of these qualities, being able to be accountable, more importantly, and you got to have that discipline. So that would be my advice on those 3 principles mainly, to any 13-year-old in the world that wants to aspire to play at a Division I level, even possibly go pro, right? But you have to have those differences. The higher the level goes, the realer it gets, and more is asked of you, and there's real pressure with this game. So just make sure you prepare for it.
All right, there you have it. So I want to thank Brian Jackson for coming in, sharing his story.
Appreciate you, bro.
Once again, thank you for tuning in to Forum, presented by 10 Toes Down. We'll be interviewing individuals, taking us through their walks of life, their sacrifices, their setbacks, and everything that they go through that people don't necessarily see behind the scenes. So until next time.